Right. Well, welcome. So now I at least got you into that. So just to let everybody know, I'm going to be recording this, and thank you very much for joining us today. I hope you enjoy this as much as I like bringing it to you. Again, I'm Jason Brunson, the director of the Minnesota State Engineering Center of Excellence. We do Case 16 outreach for engineering and engineering technology programs across the state of Minnesota. So we're proud and lucky to be able to do what we do. And again, thank you all for attending this as well. I also want to thank Rob for coming in and joining us and helping us out with this. That's a wonderful thing there. A little housekeeping here. The video will be available on our website probably tomorrow or the next day as we get ability to be able to put it on there. But you can go onto our website and mention to your colleagues, right? If they want to watch it and rewatch it, we can give professional development for that. So, and then all you have to do is contact me. I'll go ahead and then send that out to your team. But what I would ask is I'll probably ask them a couple of questions to ensure that, hey, did they really watch the video and take some content and that kind of thing? So that's kind of what comes out of that. So thank you. As you can tell, I'm pretty loose because I also like to make sure that we feel comfortable. I'm not much into extreme formality. I really enjoy a little bit softer dynamics. So as you go through, please throw us your questions in the chat. We can then address those as well. And then I can help facilitate those conversations with Rob at the end of his presentation. And then also we'll probably have some Q&As at the end. I know Rob's probably got some great ideas and some other things to share with you. Really think outside of the box with regards to pushing Rob. I love to push Rob. Pushing him with regards to maybe you do elementary, maybe you do middle school, maybe you do college, maybe you do 2-year, maybe you do 4-year, maybe you have just after school program. How do you connect with that industry? What does that look like? So without further ado, let me go ahead and introduce our featured speaker today. It's Dr. Rob Sleezer, as a professor at Twin Cities Engineering, and he's going to lead this workshop. He's got over 10 years of experience working with industry in an educational context. He brings valuable insights to the session and the workshop and is designed to both be engaging in both synchronous and asynchronous participation. So a short description of the seminar that you're in here for. The workshop addresses the connection between education and industry by assisting teachers in creating student experiences that replicate real world experiences and scenarios. Participants will learn methods to enhance the relevance and impact of classroom learning through collaboration with industry professionals. The aim is to develop tools that reduce the need for students to question the purpose of their learning. And what a great topic he's hitting on. This workshop seeks to foster partnerships that equip educators with the knowledge and skills necessary to prepare students for success in real world environments. So with that, Rob, I'm going to get out of your way. I've made you as a co-host. And so please go ahead and do what you need to do, and I will sit back and help facilitate.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jason. It's a very kind introduction. Uh, I would like to begin by saying that I like to do things that are interactive. And so I'm going to try and pull some interaction out of you as we go through this. If you're watching this asynchronously, I ask that you don't just, sit and wait or skip the video ahead. Instead, actually try and engage in the thought processes. If you're watching this asynchronously and then going to get continuing education from Jason, maybe he should ask about, what you thought about the questions as opposed to just what happened. So let's start off with one of these sort of thinking exercises. There we go. I'd like to warm up by having you think about the best educators, either real or fictional. I think for a moment. And then I'm going to give you some prodding. If you're having a hard time coming up with some, let me give you some thoughts. There's Albus Dumbledore. There's Socrates. There's Maria Montessori. There's Booker T. Washington. One of my very favorites is LeVar Burton. Oh, now the system is trying to help me restart my computer. So Bill Nye, Miss Valerie Frizzle from the Magic School Bus, and then Neil deGrasse Tyson, and one of my personal favorites, Professor Catherine Sleezer, who happens to be my mother. And I put her here because the people that you work with that you think are the greatest educators may not be famous, right? The person who was your, ninth grade biology teacher may have revolutionized your life. How? Why? Right? Let's think about that. I'd like to see some of your thoughts here. So if you would drop into the chat what your greatest educators are, your thoughts on greatest educators are, I would really appreciate that. Pull up the chat. Ooh, parents are definitely a good one. Very influential. What other great educators are out there? Mentors. Mr. Feeney from Boy Meets World. Mentors. Okay. I was wondering about that one. So broadly, mentors. Ooh, volunteers. John Keating. Lots of good ideas. Coaches. Siblings. Right? Bill Nye the Science Guy. Kids still love the videos, even at the high school level. And I mean, I go back and watch him because it's just classic, right? Oh, the just broadly a class of people here. I love this thought, this content, this way of thinking. Really great ideas. Keep in mind how some of these educators connect to the real world context as they move through the spaces they operate in. With those educators in mind, I want to think about the problem that education is addressing. What's the challenge here? The challenge is that we have different groups with some different needs, and they're not always well connected. In this picture, we see a group of people in the foreground who are looking for jobs. They are seeking training. They are exploring the desert, trying to survive, trying to thrive, trying to connect to the industry that is on the left. So there are companies that are looking to hire them. A challenge is that there is a divide between them. This divide could be related to all sorts of geographic factors. It could be associated with economic factors. It could be associated with training factors, knowledge factors. Lots of different intersectionalities impact this. And what do we see in the background? In the background, we see an institution of education. So we have job seekers, industry, and education that are not necessarily working together. They may be divided by real or artificial barriers. So let's look at where education came from. If we go back a long time, we see that education really focused on one's ability to survive. small family units or nuclear units, you know, you had to get your kids to survive if you wanted your genes to be passed on. So helping them gather food, helping them stay warm, stay cool, get the water they need, not be sick. You're right. How do you stay safe? Avoid being eaten by animals. All these things. Very, very tactical. Very, very hands-on. Very applied. Also very intimate. You're not seeing large groups of people coming together to learn together. You're seeing small groups doing this informal educational process. This evolved over time. So at some point, things got, let's see, there we go. Things evolved so that there was an ability to develop some specialization. Some people got good enough at acquiring food that they could acquire, you know, enough food to provide for themselves and some others. But maybe they weren't very good at making housing. But that's okay, because other people were good at housing. And so you get a society where you can start to specialize. You no longer have to be trained in everything to survive. Rather, this community evolves that supports specialization and specialized training. And now you have food gatherers training food gatherers. You have shelter makers training shelter makers. This leads to class segregation in some ways. Right? You get different professions that may have different perceived values. And you may get professions that have differing amounts of time for investing in non-survival activities. And so what happens with this time? What do you do with this time? Well, it turns out you go to school. The etymology for school is leisure. If you have leisure time, you have the time to go to school, the time to think strategically and broadly about what society might value, about how to move your culture forward. You're not worried about making sure you eat today or tomorrow or the day after. You can relax and think about things. That's a very different model than we saw earlier, where small groups were teaching each other how to survive, teaching future generations how to survive. This is no longer necessarily about individual survival, but now tends to be societal and cultural survival. So where does that put us today? Today, we've seen a lot more people participating in this leisure activity of school. we've seen a shift over the past couple of decades, and it was, I think, sped up and exacerbated. Exacerbated is not the right word. Sped up by the pandemic, where people start questioning the value of school, particularly post-secondary. And I believe that's a really good thing, because there needs to be a balance of leisure and doing. The purpose of school has changed in some ways. And what we're seeing is a migration away from the experience of college, where you go to school, you get a degree, and that degree ensures value in the middle class, to a space where the experience of college means leaving with meaningful, real world, tactical and strategic tools, as opposed to going through just a broad growth experience, a personal growth experience. So I'm going to pose a question now. And I'd like you to think about this question for a few moments, and then give me some advice. See, I have a son who's 12 years old. He's in 7th grade. And he looks to me for wisdom about how to live his life, about what choices he makes. I try to give him all the autonomy I can. But I look to give him good advice. So consider the following situation. You can get a credential that is claimed to be the equivalent of a high school credential with approximately 3 months of study. Now, in the state of Minnesota, there's age requirements, so he can't do this yet. But what if, instead of going to school, I suggest that he start a business, he start earning money, contributing to his retirement, investing in that, contributing to the support of the family. And then, when he's 16, 17, 18, we take 3 months, get him this credential, move on. He doesn't have to waste the time with school. I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can either drop them in the chat or unmute yourself if you would like. And I'll wait a few moments, because this is a challenging and interesting conversation, question, right?
Rob, I would toss out there the question of his mental development with regards to the dynamics of other kids his age, and then going immediately into the socialization. That's a great point. Socialization and the
Good.
development of where is he at as an adult in 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, and do you then also are you then in the position of, being a parent where my kids are older? Are you then in the position of hearing a sense of resentment because you deviated from traditional means, if you might say, traditional experiences, prom, homecoming, those other things there, that they didn't get an opportunity to be able to participate in and or develop those work with those colleagues in? So that's at least something that pops into my head.
Yeah, I think those are a lot of good things.
It's a
Um,
depends.
let me tell me more. Was that Tanja?
Tanya, it's a depends. You know, every child is different. I think that the COVID period really showed that different students have the ability to learn in different ways. Traditional education was, in essence, made to produce labor that was very consistent. And I think that as we automate more, there is more diverse needs in terms of the workforce. And so I think it's going to depend on each family and each child and their ability to interact. Are they involved in other organizations outside of the education system? So I think that the complexity will be in that there will be numerous ways to learn.
Yeah, I like that point. Going through some of the comments on the chat, broadly, I agree with them. The ideal or the ideas associated with social and emotional development, right? Could those be embedded in work experience? Right? Many organizations have professional development plans, right? You go through professional mentoring in workplaces. So that could be embedded there. I'm seeing, let's see, not all aspects of education can necessarily be assessed or tested, right? I very much agree with that. And for what it's worth, I have talked with Sean, my seventh grader, about this and have strongly advised him to stay in school. I don't want you to panic here. Because I believe that there is much more value in the experience, in the training, the broad training that comes from the exposure to a lot of different things, right? If he went straight into the workforce right now, he might become specialized in a way that has potency, but also has limiting factors. So thinking about what value and being able to articulate the value that we give beyond just the credential is important, right? Graduation is not the goal. And I think that's the point here, right? If the graduation were, if just the credential were the goal, then this would be a simple question. To Tanya's point, one of the challenges with our traditional educational models is the history of essentially cogs, right? Seeing people who had a job that when they moved on from that job, because they either got promoted or died, it was easy to replace them. So you could have a bunch of bankers who all banked the same way. And you could have organizational standardization. And we've seen some of that change. Automation has changed things a lot. We've seen automation impact societies from the very early days where, even beasts of burden, when they were employed in agriculture, all of a sudden that meant fewer people needed to be involved in the act of farming. The printing press is another great example. The printing press is an example where you used to have scribes and a whole society of people that believed fundamentally the word of God would flow through them, through their hands onto a page. And then that was turned upside down, right? Think of the scribe who apprenticed to Gutenberg and was literally working to destroy his profession. And what impact that has, and how that changes what needs to be taught. Generations of people were taught to write as their only form of value to society. And all of a sudden, that changed. So moving on, I think it's worth coming back to this point of being explicit that different constituents define the purpose of education in different ways. And the way they define it may evolve over time. As an educator, I find it extraordinarily frustrating that in this quarter, industry is asking me for something. And I can change and I can give them exactly what they want this quarter. And next quarter, they say, what the heck are you doing? You're so out of date. I need new things. I need different things. And so there's a challenge in meeting both their current needs as well as their long-term needs. Let me tell you about a story from one of my mentors, Fred Gradis, who died a couple of years ago. He's actually the reason I am an engineer. He talked about hiring from two different schools. One of the universities he hired from really did a great job of making sure their students came out being able to use the modern tools of engineering. And he could hire them and put them to work on day one and know that they would do a great job. He also knew he would almost never promote them. They would stay more or less in their same role. They might get better at their role, but they wouldn't move up in their ways of thinking. They would stay kind of doing the same thing for their entire careers. There was another group of people he liked to hire, another institution he hired from, and these people had amazing foundational skills. They could solve calculus problems and differential equations that were amazing. And when he hired them, he knew they were worthless. That they were going to need 12 to 18 months of mentorship and support before they would begin adding value to the organization. However, their trajectory was generally up. So they continued to be able to apply that theory in an ever-evolving space, continuing to do and adapt to new situations. I am going to argue that these two things are not actually mutually exclusive, that we can do them both together, right? Think about how you can provide the tactical skills that your students will need immediately upon graduation, as well as the foundation to grow. How do we teach the foundation through current tactical skills, right? I see a comment about the slide rule and having never used one, right? I've got one. If you'd like to borrow it or if you'd like to learn, I actually have a slide rule emulator on my phone. Maybe that tells you a lot about me. Logarithms were something that used to be much more important to most people. They're still very important to a lot of people. But fewer people need them today than needed them 50, 60 years ago because of modern computational tooling. Logarithms used to be what people used to do multiplication of big numbers with. And we no longer need to do that. We now have these calculators. So that actually opens us up to think about things differently We may still need logarithms in some cases. We still definitely need to understand what multiplication is. But understanding all the nuance may be a little different. Right? What's fundamental here becomes the real question. So let's look at sort of how developmentally people join the workforce. We've looked a little bit about what happens in the school space, but if you want your teenagers to do work, real work, how do you do that? It turns out you let them do real work when they're toddlers. Children really want to help. And if you give them real tools, meaningful tools, they will engage with those tools, and it may only take you 3 times longer to clean the kitchen floor. But you know what? 10 years later, I come home. Again, Sean, my 12-year-old, the dog had made a huge mess. She'd found a bag of flour and opened it up and spread it all over the house. I love this comment. The classic farm kid. Yeah. Right? When I got home, I was told about how big this mess was. And I'm like, oh man, I'm going to have to, help clean this up. I take a look and there's just a little tiny mess. I'm like, this isn't much of a mess. Well, it turns out that my 12-year-old and my 7-year-old had spent an hour and a half cleaning it up. They'd run the vacuum out of battery, and that's why there was still some mess left. How can we adapt what we've learned from helping children grow into people that want to do work, that want to add value, and that are competent in adding value to our classrooms? I'm going to argue that we can do this by leveraging in classic and emerging solutions. I say these are classic because there's nothing really new here. When I look at the history of education, I see that we're slowly getting better at figuring out how and when to apply different tools. But the Socratic method is not new. Apprentice-based learning, which we could rebrand as work-based learning, is not new. Doing projects, right? Carving off a small part of a whole thing and saying, okay, this is your responsibility, and giving our students the ability to engage with that in a meaningful way. Ooh, now AI will change things. Oh, I love this. I love this comment. And so I'll pause for a moment here and say, absolutely, AI is changing the space, and people may lose some basic skills and advance in some other skills, right? Advances in technology always hurt society, some people in society. Right? If we go back to the case of the printing press, or beasts of burden in agriculture, or computers, right? When computers were introduced, when the personal computers were introduced, right? Or even mainframes when they were introduced, right? There were computers before that, but they were people. And people lost their jobs because computational machinery became available. As AI evolves, as AI gets more potent, you will need to use AI or you will be replaced by AI. As an example, most of the graphics in this presentation are AI generated. This one right here, AI generated. Totally made up. I didn't need to go find a photographer. I didn't need to go get a graphic designer. All of a sudden, some of these things fell to me. We're seeing AI adopted in the workforce at a really, really high rates. I was at a trade show yesterday. Every session I went to 4 sessions. All 4 of them dealt with AI. I've got a whole book here on pioneering edge AI for a smarter future, right? They're just product after product. What do you want to buy that has to do with it? All sorts of fun things. I got excited there and kind of got myself off track. I'm sorry, that happens to me regularly. If you know me, you know this is not unusual. Whoops, I didn't mean to animate. Oh, I did mean to animate that, but that's okay. So what I want to encourage you to consider now is what it would look like for you as an educator to participate in the work of industry. I almost failed algebra when I was in junior high school. Why did I almost fail algebra? Well, because I looked like one of these students in the upper left of this diagram. Head on the desk. I couldn't be bothered because I was moving so fast relative to the content that I was sufficiently bored, disengaged, checked out. I couldn't see the real world application of all of it. You know, it was a problem. And I am so glad that the educators in my space stepped up and really helped me. So we have people sleeping through important lessons that directly connect to what this person on the upper right needs, the skill sets that are necessary. What would it look like for you as educators? And also, I know Jason sent me the list of people participating. There are people in this space now that are not educators, they're from industry. Mostly educators, but a couple of industry people. What would it look like if you're from education, if you find a way to step into industry for a little bit? What would it look like if you're in industry to invite educators into your space? How could you do that? And then how can you collaborate with other educators or industry professionals to develop, in fact, impactful and meaningful lesson plans that connect to the current and emerging needs of industry? And then in the lower left, we see students thinking about the same material that's in the lesson above. They're more likely to remember it. They're more likely to engage meaningfully with it. And then, you know, to the right, perhaps they're more likely to get the job in it. So we've talked a lot about some strategy things and a little bit of tactics here, but I want to move more in the last few moments into a specific tactical space. And I'm going to do kind of a data dump. I don't expect you to remember all of this. I'll be glad to share out the slides. I'll send them to Jason, who I anticipate will send them out. So everything is available. If you've got questions, please reach back out to me, and I'll be glad to share or make introductions or whatever. I have found some tools to be useful. There are a lot of other tools out there. Some of the tools that I've found to be useful are the following, and I'm going to run through these. I wanted to put them on a slide so that they were easy to find, but I'm going to go through and talk about each one of these briefly. The first is Engineering Unleashed. All of these, by the way, are free and available for use in different ways. You might not get everything in them, but at some level, all of these have opportunities for you to engage. Engineering Unleashed is a really neat platform. It's developed by the Kern Entrepreneurial Engineering Network, which is from the Kern Family Foundation. This is a group of educators that are driving the entrepreneurial mindset into engineering education. Now, I know there's a lot of K-12 educators in this space. And so when I say that this is really developed by and for college and university faculty, I don't want you to set this aside. I want you to think some of these may need some adaptation. But I think this is a great example of a lesson from Engineering Unleashed. And there's a lot of resources, not just lessons, but lots of resources on Engineering Unleashed that could easily apply in K-12 spaces. The idea is to take a thing and dig into its history, act as an archaeologist, embrace this mode of discovery, this Indiana Jones. Yes, these are open. In fact, you can join this network. So in the chat, the question is, are these open resources? And the answer is this one in particular, very open. You can join this community. There's no cost to join it. I don't think you have to join it to go searching for things. If you want to add things to it, then you have to join it. I see huge value in these. I can spend lots of time just digging through these, exploring them. I can take this fan right here and think about where it came from. What's the archaeology, right? Embrace Indiana Jones and explore that product, right? Where did it come from? Who does it impact? How does it impact them? So this is one resource. Another resource.
Hey, Rob, real quick, if you would jump back to that one.
Yes.
For those that are new, of course, a website can be very intimidating. I want to share that the content's been vetted prior to it being put onto there. And the other thing, if you were an educator, and you can see there's all these things, it's always hard to, I just want to go to stuff that maybe I can bring back to my classroom or look at right away. Would that be the cards area?
Yeah, that would be the cards area. I was going to pull up a couple things later if I have time, and I could come back to this one, but specifically there's cards. So up on the top banner, the cards are where you'll find a lot of the tactical things. The entrepreneurial mindset, the faculty development, those are things that are a little more strategic, right? So the entrepreneurial mindset is where they lay out their philosophy. But the cards piece of it is where you can find a lot of these lessons and other resources. Thanks very much, Jason. So another one This is one of my absolute favorites. This is called Ministar. This is the Minnesota tech community that comes together a few times a year in different ways. Their big event is called Mini Bar. It's hosted at the Best Buy headquarters here in the Twin Cities. But they have lots of activities. It's just a community of high-tech people doing things. Their conference is what they call an unconference, so you can show up, you can propose a session and say, hey, I'd like to talk about how industry can partner with, 7th and 8th grade classrooms, as an example, and bring people together to talk about that and maybe gain some connections there. Participating in most of their stuff is free, and strongly encouraged. Another great example is the Minnesota Department of Transportation. They have a great set of curricular content on their website. And I know they've done some outreach, right? I know this because I was having lunch one day and overheard a conversation at the table next to me and had to go interject and it sounds like you're talking about STEM outreach. And turns out they were from MnDOT, and we had a great conversation. Great group to reach out to. Applied real world activities for a range of ages. Another one of my favorites, and I kind of realized I may have put this in here a couple times. So I added another animation to this, is Try Engineering. This is targeted at, I think, kind of middle school levels typically, but I think there's some of their stuff is targeted at middle schools. This program, the program that I participated in specifically they had articles and things that you would have middle school students read, then they would communicate with professionals through a porthole. So I would be mentoring through this porthole, and the teachers get to look at these things and make sure that, whatever the student sends me gets approved and whatever I send them gets approved, so that things are safe. Direct interactions with industry people. Try Engineering is having a summit in just a few days. I didn't realize that until I was preparing for this at the last minute. And you can see that this morning was when I found this IEEE STEM Summit, as I was looking for more more ideas. I'm always looking for more ideas. So yes, we can definitely get you a list of these things by email. This is a free event online. Go to what of it you can, skip what of it you can't. I think it's mostly over the weekend, if I remember right, but I haven't, no, because the 23rd is a Wednesday, never mind. So it's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Another great resource is LinkedIn. If you don't have a LinkedIn account, make one. Reach out to Jason, reach out to myself, reach out to others. I was on LinkedIn a couple days ago, and Anne-Marie Thomas used to be a professor at St. Thomas, has some really cool things associated with OceanX, which is the company that she joined when she left academia. Great opportunities to engage with and think about what she's doing. You can reach out to people directly on LinkedIn and say, hey, I'd really love it if maybe you could come do a webinar or come, present remotely or even in person to my students. Minnesota the Minnesota Technology Association that we have, they rebranded themselves recently. They've got a lot of activities that are coming up. They're generally a little bit more expensive to participate with, but they do have some things that are low cost. I believe they've got some sponsored happy hours and things like that. So if you're looking to get together with a group of people, you know, have a drink, they'll usually buy the first one or two kind of thing, and chat with some people. This can be a great space to step into and learn about what people are doing and invite resources into your classroom. So the last set of resources I'm going to point you at directly before I introduce you to some other people are these lists of organizations. And I've just put the letterings up there. You can search them, but I'll really briefly run through them. IEEE is predominantly an electrical engineering organization. I think technically it stands for the Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers, but they do more than that now. SMTA is another one that does a broader thing than what they set out to. It's the Surface Mount Technology Association. It's actually headquartered in Eden Prairie. Their workforce development person is a director, is a woman by the name of Tara Dunn, who's just an amazing person. They have some great things online, and I'm probably gonna run out of time, but I'll hang out afterwards if people want to look at their website. ASME is mechanical engineering. ASCE is civil engineering. The National Society of Professional Engineers is a great resource. Society of Women Engineers, right? And this is National Society of Black Engineers. The International Council on System Engineering, and the American Society of Engineering Education. Oh, right, I totally should have pointed out MFEST. Thank you for doing that in the chat, Jason. So the last thing that I wanted to do sort of before transitioning into any questions, comments, or further discussion was introduce you to some people that I bring into my classroom on a somewhat regular basis. The cool thing about these people is that they come from every level of the organization. And so I'd like to introduce you. Hold on, I got it. Oh, now I'm Bobbert Bleezer now. I believe you were just talking with Rob Sleezer. As Bobbert Bleezer, I am the CFO of the organization, and you're really going to have to justify the finances of your project and convince me that investing in what you're doing is appropriate. I'm willing to ask some really hard questions. Rob, he's going to ask softball questions. Bobbert Bleezer, he's going to ask the hard questions. And I can transition into other people, right? I have all sorts of different hats that I can wear and represent different people in different spaces of any organization. So Bobbert Bleezer, he may sound old, but he is the Chief Innovation Officer for an organization. And he's going to really help you think creatively. Forget the financial stuff. We don't need to focus on that. We're outside the box thinking right now. What can we do? What can we expand to? Each of these personas is based in the reality of industry. So even when I can't bring industry into the classroom, I find a way. It gets a little silly, gets a little goofy, but man, my students sometimes, they don't like the person in the jacket. They'll prepare to deal with the person in the, and in fact, I will help them prepare a presentation to deal with the person in the jacket. Or the hat, or whatever other role you need. So with that, I want to sort of wrap up the formal part of my presentation. I've got some other resources that I'm willing to share if people would like to hang around. I would also love to address any questions, comments, or concerns that are out there. Either unmute yourself or drop them into the chat.
And Rob, we go till noon, so we have another
Oh,
half
we had
hour.
oh, brilliant. For some
Right.
reason, I thought
So
we had. I thought
nope,
never
nope.
mind. Okay, now
So
I'm.
we have right. So I think what would be really good is if you could expand upon, at least for some of these educators, you shared some of these professional organizations. Boy, I tell you what, if I don't know anything about these organizations, how do I approach them? Or how do I approach some of these companies that I want to come into my classroom or speak in my classroom or speak to my students? What should be my approach be? Where's my go-to on that? How do I facilitate having that industry connection into my classroom?
Oh, great question. And I'm so glad you asked that because it leads into I had a window pulled up of a couple of ways to do that. And so let me do some of that specifically with SMTA and IEEE. And again, and this will point out that these are free resources available. No, how do I use this stupid computer? Gotta find the share screen again. Okay, there we go. And I of course need 7 more windows so I can get more confused than I already am. There we go. Okay, so this is the SMTA website. It's got all sorts of stuff on it. You can go through and find lots of things. You can find local expos. Local being regional, so like a few states. There's one annually in the Twin Cities, which is really cool. It's actually a lot more than SMTA. And then there's this up here. If you go to their webinar archive, this is a resource that I think is really interesting because although you have to pay to actually watch the webinars, what you don't have to pay to do is look at what the webinars are about. And so these are things where you can get real world context. A lot of them may not apply, but a lot of them may. Looking at the role of electrically conductive coatings in EMI, right? Just as a random one that I'm picking. If you're teaching a physics course, electromagnetic interference is what happens when you have electrons moving in one location and they're pushing electrons around in another location that you don't want. Right? We know electrons don't like each other. And so when one group of electrons moves, it causes another group of electrons to move. If you're in a physics class talking about, well, and then we have Faraday's law and Gauss's law, blah, 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 and nobody really cares. But all of a sudden you say, we need to address EMI, electromagnetic interference, using these other tools. You'll notice a speaker bio here. I would cold email these people. A lot of people that present these kinds of things have an interest in sharing their knowledge with the world in different ways and are excited when people reach out to them. I would look on LinkedIn to see if Michael Strong is available if this happens to be something you're interested in. There were some others that I was looking at earlier that are applicable in different areas. So mixed alloy soldering, very much a chemistry space. Design for manufacturing, that's what DFM stands for, design for manufacturing. So if you're teaching an an engineering lesson, right? And this is going to connect to economics. This is going to connect to resource availability. This is going to connect to conflict minerals potentially. Statistics here, right? So we see process average testing, right? Without even pulling that up. I see that's got something to do with, I can now start contextualizing things with real world examples. Another one is the IEEE site. There's Collabratech, which is somewhere, where am I looking at? Is the IEEE sort of what I'm going to call LinkedIn Lite. You can join Collabratech communities. This is under communities. Collabratech is a free thing to join. And I was going to start here and show you where it was. Wait, there it is. IEEE Collabratech. There we go. So if you join this, this is free to join and can connect you with a lot of professionals. Reaching out to local industry, calling them up and asking for a tour is another way to go. I do that fairly regularly. See, looking at the chat. Okay, Nassif was pointing out it was under communities. Many of these organizations, so if we remember that first picture that I showed you of the workforce disconnected from industry, disconnected from academia, the workforce is looking for these people. Oftentimes calling them up and saying, hey, I have some people, they're not ready yet, but maybe in 10, 15, 20 years, I don't know, they're going to be your workforce. Could I come visit and learn about what you need? Would you be willing to come talk to them about what you need? These can be really powerful questions. These can develop really potent relationships.
And Rob, I also think that what I've found is when I get questions like that, contacting the local chamber, community chamber is a great way to understand which companies are engaging and which companies are not engaging or wanting to work with education. There are just some people that it's not their gig.
Right.
It's not, and there's
You'll
nothing
be
worse. Right. There's nothing worse than making the phone call, wanting to do something good, and the person on the other side says, I don't have time for you. I don't want anything to do with you. But if you contact a local chamber, or oftentimes, again, you got to ask yourself, what are your relationships that you have within the community of people that might work at other companies as well? And when they understand what you're trying to do.
hobbies are actually another really good way to do this that you kind of allude to. So one of my hobbies is refereeing youth ice hockey. Because of that, I've talked to people who were nuclear engineers that ended up being great connections. As an example, another space is in my son is in scouting, and one of the parents of the other youth in his troop is they're engineers, and I've brought them in and worked with them. So a lot of places that you're in the community anyway, having side conversations, right? You don't have to necessarily do it as a cold call, but oftentimes you may have that connection. And when you don't make that cold call, you may get a no. Don't worry about it. Don't put a lot of energy or resources into doing it to start with. Just give it a quick go, pick up a phone, be like, hey, would somebody like to come talk to us? We'd love to have, does your organization do outreach? Right? Not to throw you under the bus, Jason, but oftentimes you're a great resource in this space. You have a lot of connections. There's a reason that you were in the middle of the Engineering Center of Excellence was in the middle of one of my figures earlier. What other questions, comments, or concerns are there? How else can I support you?
I believe somebody asked the question about grants and STEM grants, STEM opportunity grants. Any ideas on that, resources wise, where that might be?
I know a lot of organizations have foundations that support education. When I'm looking at those, I'm looking at the university level stuff. I'm often looking at national grants. So I don't know specifically what the grants are for K-12 off the top of my head. I do know that a lot of foundations, looking for the foundations is the key. You don't want to reach out directly to 3M, you want to reach out to the 3M Foundation. You don't want to reach out to Burns McDonnell, you want to reach out to the Burns McDonnell Foundation. They're the ones that will have the grants and the giving part of the resources.
And I think to complement that, Rob, to help facilitate that, you could probably leverage a simple AI prompt to help you scrape. What are some of the foundations that might align with my organization's strategic vision, mission statement,
Sure.
plans, current activities, that would align well with a grant application to their organization? Again, many of these foundations have specific areas of focus, if you might say, and a simple AI scrape uh, search could help facilitate finding some of those grants that align with your organization. At the end of the day, to help facilitate a good grant, that grant, if it aligns with what you currently do, is going to be much more strategic for your organization, as opposed to just chasing a grant to do a project to get monies to do other things. That's not beneficial for anybody. But I think if you go through that, use your mission and your vision and help that all kind of build, and then go out and use an AI to see if you can find those, which might be local, which how much they usually offer out. You'll have all kinds of information there that you can gather.
Great point. And I really like and appreciate your comment on alignment, which is very potent. Ensuring things are well aligned goes a long ways. And there's plenty of opportunities out there. You ought to be able to find something you align with, as opposed to, okay, let's fit a square peg in a round hole. Other
That's it.
questions?
Well, it looks like we've got some good feedback here. Is there anything else that anybody has? I think also to complement on what Rob had stated, some of these for my K-12 partners, or in those areas, even reaching out to these specialists in the field, if they're really good at knowing what their content is, they're able to communicate high level information at an eighth grade level, because that's when you truly understand what you're talking about, being able to bring that down. So don't be afraid my K-12 members, don't be afraid to reach out to maybe some of these researchers and just say, that's for a 10th grade science class, right? Can you share some of your thoughts, some of your ideas, some of your knowledge? And because if they truly know it, they're able to communicate it at the dinner table. And that's what's a great thing about many of these people.
And if they communicate with you and you see that they're not going to do well with 8th graders, you still have great stories from talking to them, right? So you may not bring them in, you may bring their stories in, and that's okay too.
Right, right. Okay. Any questions or concerns? Please reach out. Let's see, where are some
Let's see,
teachers?
are you aware of some teachers, schools who do a good job implementing STEM in their classrooms? Schools we can reach out to. Let's see. I interact with a lot of people. One of the groups that I would have to ask if they would be interested in sharing. We did a workshop on externships. So this was the idea of teachers working for part of their time in industry. You know, so a lot of teachers take the summer off. You might take part of that time and invest it in, you know, essentially an internship. And then bringing that into the community. So there was a group of teachers that we worked with on a sort of a funded opportunity to do this. And a bunch of neat people there that I'd have to look at, that I have to reach out to. Who else is doing really well at this?
I think
Albuquerque High
Rob,
School is a good
I
one.
think you should also talk about some of the museums and the relationships that you have with many of the museums and some of the STEM outreach that possibly a lot of these educators aren't aware of. So
Sure.
can you speak to
So
that, please?
yeah, good points here. Two groups that I'm really excited about. One is called the Works Museum. If you're not familiar with them, they're a museum in Bloomington, Minnesota that does, they have a physical location, but really what they're best at is bringing activities into classrooms. They're targeting typically the lower grades. So sort of the top of their age range tends to be about 12 years old. But 5 years old through 12 years old. And so reaching out to them could be a great space. I think they're under the works.org. Another great one is Science from Scientists. This is an organization that came out of Massachusetts. We've got a local branch here. They do K-12 education, again, often targeted at the younger ages, but a lot of their lessons could be adapted into older ranges that are taught by scientists, engineers, other STEM professionals. So that your school would partner with this organization. They would come in and teach lessons. They'd bring the kits with them to help facilitate this. They would serve as an outside expert in the area. I'm trying to think what other ones come to mind off the top of my head. Those are two of the big ones that I connect with.
I also think there's I also think there's opportunities for my post-secondary teachers to look at some of their students and ask their students what can they do to deliver possibly to secondary students. Again,
Absolutely.
interaction, collaboration. Sometimes we get lost. It feels like we get lost on we need to have we need to have more young people talking with young people, and those dynamics are very important. The kids see a lot of gray hairs. I'm a gray hair as well.
Are you making fun of me?
No, Rob, I'm with you. I'm with you. But we need to have kids talking with kids and talking about what those experiences are and where it could go.
I
So
agree. And I actually, our program has a requirement for volunteerism and outreach. And so my student engineers have spent time doing that and giving back to the community in these ways.
good. All right. Are there any more questions that we can answer. Otherwise, I think we'll let you go early. So, whoop, thank you, Rob. Hey, very welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Very kind, thank you.
All right, well, let's go. And you have a wonderful rest of your day. And it looks like it's going to be a beautiful day. So thank you all. Thank you, Rob. And again, if you need your professional development, you can go ahead and contact me. Send me an email, jason.bruns@mnsu.edu. And I can help you out with that. I do those one at a time, so you have to be patient with me, and we'll get those out. So thank you very much.
See, Jason, would you put your email in the chat?
Yeah, I sure can.